record. Hi, my name is Erica Williams, and today I'm going to be introducing y'all to Morgan Gomez, who is a second-year student at Georgia State University. Let's see, Morgan, could you tell us what program you're in?
Yeah, I'm a second-year student in at the Neuroscience Institute at Georgia State, and I work in Anne Murphy's lab doing research on early life pain and how that affects different aspects of development and experiences later in life.
That's fantastic. What kind of methods do you get to use in her lab?
So we get to work with animals, doing studies with them, doing behavioral aspects. We'll run different tests on the animals. And then we also use methods for tissue analysis, looking at what's actually going on in the brain. So mostly I do a lot of immunohistochemistry, a lot of staining, but it makes for some really cool images sometimes. So yeah.
That sounds awesome. And where did you go for undergrad, and what did you major in while you were there?
I did my undergrad at the University of Georgia, and I was actually a biochemistry major there. So I actually got into neuroscience just kind of by chance at the lab that hired me on my junior year.
That's fantastic. It's really cool that you can bring your biochemistry perspective to neuroscience. Let's see, what else? Do you have a favorite brain fact or, something really interesting about neuroscience you'd like to share with everyone?
I actually don't really have a favorite brain fact. Before doing Brain Bee this time, I had never actually heard that question asked. And every time I'm like, I can't even remember just a random fact that's not remotely obscure.
Well, that makes sense. There's just so much about neuroscience to love.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff. And I'm just like, well, yeah, there's not just a random fact. There's random facts I know, but.
Do you have a favorite class you've taken during your graduate studies in neuroscience, like a favorite subject area?
Actually, so far my favorite has been, interestingly enough, our stats class that we took. That was actually the class I was looking forward to most in grad school, to try and figure out, well, why do we run different tests and how to actually properly plan an experiment. Because I feel like that's probably the most useful thing that I can get out of any of the classes is knowing how to properly do them.
Absolutely. I mean, you need to know how to analyze your data once you have it, and how to answer the proper questions with it. And it's something that definitely isn't necessarily in the forefront of every scientist's mind, but it's definitely important. All right, let's talk a little bit more just about you and your regular life. Do you have any pets? And if so, what kinds? What are their names? That kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, I have 2 cats who have been tired out after the Brain Bee session today. They were running back and forth a lot. A big tabby named Loki, and then a little calico named Astrid.
Oh, very sweet. And they're still kittens, right? They're about a year old now?
They're a year old. They turned a year on New Year's Eve.
That's so fun. You have some buddies to work from home with in these COVID times.
More like to distract me from my work.
Alrighty. Do you have any favorite musical artists or bands you like to listen to when you study or when you're maybe analyzing data?
Oh, so when I study or I'm analyzing data, I actually don't listen to a whole lot of, I guess I could say more modern music. I actually tend to stick to like film scores. I 100% believe John Williams is the greatest movie score composer ever. And so I'll actually typically listen to that sort of stuff. And then, but in the car and stuff, it's more alt rock and that sort of music.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely like to listen to some more, like sometimes I'll listen to these like lo-fi beats playlists, just kind of something to have in the background that's not too distracting. Do you have any favorite like alt rock bands you can think of off the top of your head? Maybe a concert you've been to that was great?
Never actually been to a concert, so
Oh,
that
wow.
would be, yeah. That was one of the things I was hoping to do after undergrad, and then COVID happened.
Something to look forward to.
Yes. In terms of just like listening, there is one kind of more recent one called Against the Current that I have been listening to a lot lately. And then an older one that I actually kind of grew up with was Evanescence.
Oh gosh, who doesn't love that?
They're still
Well,
going
thank you.
strong.
They really are. Yeah, I saw actually before COVID, they were supposed to be coming to Atlanta sometime soon, and I didn't even know they were still touring.
I was hoping so. Then that didn't happen. Yeah, no, they were touring actually with Lindsey Sterling a couple of years ago, and I couldn't afford the
Oh,
tickets.
dang, that would have been so cool. It's actually funny you mentioned her. I was just talking about Lindsay Sterling last night with a friend because her stuff is so cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share with, prospective future scientists or anything like that?
I guess the only thing I would say is even if you like science, just go with what interests you, and you never know. You'll end up somewhere that you hadn't planned on. I did not expect to get into neuroscience. I actually didn't even know much about neuroscience before starting in the lab at UGA. So,
Wow, well, that's fantastic. Thank you
yep.
so much for taking the time to share with us and what your path has been like. And happy Atlanta Brain Bee.
Yeah.